You walk into the kitchen for a midnight glass of water, and there it is. You saw it on the counter, antennae twitching in the sudden light. You hit it with the nearest magazine. Now there's a smear on the granite, and you feel like the problem is solved. Stop. It is not. Squashing a cockroach releases its body contents in a violent spray, including a viable egg case that can easily survive the impact and continue to develop hidden in the smear. The immediate gratification of the kill leaves a lingering invisible hazard in your most used living space. You trade a visible pest for an invisible cloud of severe allergens and future generations of the very insect you tried to eliminate. The physical strike is the absolute worst response to a kitchen intrusion. The insect you are dealing with is likely the German cockroach, known scientifically as Blattella germanica. It measures about half an inch long and is easily identified by two distinct dark stripes running down the back of its head. This species strongly prefers the warm, humid environments of kitchens and bathrooms. The other common intruder is the American cockroach, Periplaneta americana, which is much larger, spanning 1.5 to 2 inches. It is a reddish-brown color, possesses fully developed wings, and generally prefers damp basements and dark sewer systems. The German cockroach, however, is the vastly harder infestation to control and the one most likely to be wandering on your kitchen counter. It is fast, incredibly adaptable, and perfectly evolved to exploit the tiniest crevices in human homes. Identifying the species is critical because their behaviors and vulnerabilities are completely different. Knowing exactly which species you are fighting determines whether you are dealing with a minor moisture issue or a massive structural invasion. The German variant does not fly, but its erratic scuttling speed makes it a formidable opponent. It thrives precisely where you prepare your family's food. The German cockroach's staggering reproductive rate is the massive problem the stomp doesn't even begin to solve. One single female can produce up to 8 egg cases, called oothekai, in her relatively short lifetime. Each of these incredibly resilient cases contains between 30 and 48 eggs, with a rapid incubation period of just 28 days. A single mated female entering your kitchen in January can theoretically produce a population of 10,000 cockroaches by June under favorable conditions. The cockroach you can see is one of dozens hiding behind the walls, inside the cabinet hinges, under the refrigerator motor. Killing the visible one does not change the colony's reproductive math. The colony is not in front of you. Beyond the issue of reproduction, the physical smear left behind activates complex cockroach alarm pheromones. These chemical signals immediately broadcast danger to nearby cockroaches hidden in the walls. Instead of retreating, they simply scatter and hide deeper into inaccessible crevices, making future eradication exponentially more difficult. The surviving population becomes more cautious, avoiding the open areas where you struck the first blow. Your single act of aggression triggers a defensive protocol that entrenches the infestation deeper into the architecture of your home. You have not won the battle. You have merely forced the enemy to fortify their position and accelerate their breeding cycle out of sight. These proteins are among the most potent indoor allergens ever documented by medical science. The inner-city asthma study, published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1997, documented that cockroach allergen exposure in inner-city homes was the single strongest predictor of asthma severity in children, stronger than dust mites or pet dander. The biological mechanism is insidious. Cockroach proteins become airborne when the insect moves, dies, or is crushed. The allergen is not the living insect, but its shed skins, feces, and body fragments, which remain in the air for hours. When you crush the insect, you're weaponizing its biology against your own respiratory system. To put this in a human-scale comparison, crushing a single roach in an enclosed kitchen is roughly equivalent to shaking out a deeply soiled vacuum filter directly into the air you're about to breathe. The biological imperative of the cockroach is survival through sheer numbers, and the destruction of one adult barely registers in the colony's overall math. Furthermore, the alarm pheromones do not degrade quickly. They linger on the surface, serving as a chemical caution tape that alters the foraging patterns of the entire nest. The cockroaches will find new, harder-to-reach paths to your food and water sources. By attacking the visible scout, you blind yourself to the hidden army, guaranteeing that the infestation will grow unchecked behind the drywall and under the floorboards. A cockroach wandering on a counter in broad daylight means the population breeding behind the walls is already massive. The available nighttime foraging space has become fiercely competitive. Cockroaches are strictly nocturnal creatures and will instinctively stay hidden in dark crevices until population pressure forces them into exposed areas during lit hours. One cockroach visible during the day is never just one cockroach. It is the undeniable sign of a sprawling colony that has exhausted its primary hiding spots. The insect you see is simply the overflow, the weakest competitor pushed out by the sheer density of the hidden swarm. This daylight appearance is a critical diagnostic signal. It reveals that the structural voids in your kitchen, behind the cabinets, under the dishwasher, inside the walls, are currently at maximum capacity. The ecosystem of your kitchen has been completely compromised, and the presence of the insect in the light is the final warning sign before a total structural takeover. Ignoring this daytime sighting guarantees the population will continue to expand until it spills over into other rooms. The roach on the counter is a distress beacon from your home's infrastructure, indicating that immediate, systemic intervention is required to reclaim your living space. Never squash the insect. Instead, calmly capture individual roaches in a sealable glass jar or plastic container for proper species identification. For German cockroaches, the single most effective do-it-yourself treatment is applying gel bait containing indoxacarb or fipronil, applied in thin beads behind the refrigerator and inside cabinet hinges. Apply this bait in tiny, thin lines directly behind the refrigerator, far under the sink, and deep inside cabinet hinges. These are the hidden transit corridors where they travel constantly, but human hands never touch. Do not spray aerosol-repellent pesticides anywhere near the bait. Repellents simply drive the cockroaches away from the poison they need to consume, rendering your entire effort useless. You must also immediately fix any minor water leaks under the sink or behind appliances. German cockroaches require fresh water every 2 to 3 days to survive, and they will completely abandon an area where water access is aggressively eliminated. Dry out the environment, offer the toxic bait as their only food source, and let the worker roaches carry the poison back into the walls. You must employ strategy rather than brute force. Patience is essential here. The bait takes time to decimate the hidden population, but it is the only way to strike at the heart of the colony. Clean up the water, place the bait precisely, and let their own foraging instincts destroy them from the inside out. The battle for your kitchen is won with quiet chemistry and resource denial, not with a rolled-up magazine. This hidden space is the true front line of your home's defense against invaders. Tell me in the comments, when did you last check behind your refrigerator, and what did you find?